Hi friends, so if you're getting this video, you really do need to watch it from beginning to end. I know you didn't get all the questions on the quiz wrong, and that's fine, but you could really benefit from a little bit of review with angles and lines and everything that the quiz was on today. So for the first question, it says using 3 uppercase letters, because remember, angles are named with uppercase letters unless they're, marked otherwise, and no spaces, name this angle one way. So when we name an angle, the point in the middle is the vertex, and that's always the middle letter. So there's 2 possible ways to name this. So over the next 2 questions, you're going to see the 2 possible ways. One is A, B, C, capital A, B, C. And we know that because the B is the vertex, the point where the 2 endpoints meet, which is in the middle. And we have to leave that in the middle. So the only way that we could do that is by using point A or point C as the starting point. So A, B, C is one way to name this angle. The second question wanted us to name the angle another way. So if we already used A, B, C, we know B has to be the middle point, which is the vertex. The other way is C, B, A. Again, capital C, capital B, no spaces, capital A. The B has to be in the middle because it is the vertex. And then A and C, it doesn't really matter. Either way that you name it is right, but there are 2 possible ways to name this angle. Again, another angle naming question. We need to name this angle with 3 uppercase letters, no spaces, one way. So we can see that the vertex is at point Y. So as long as you name it with Y in the middle, you'll be correct. There's 2 possible answers. The first is X, Y, and Z, capital X, of course. Y, as best as I can on this computer. And then a Z, all capital, no spaces. Y, the vertex, I'm just going to put a point over that because that's our middle point. Now, again, the second possible way to name this, we know that the vertex is a point Y. We've done X, Y, and Z. So the other way to name it is, this is angle Z, Y, X. Vertex is right in the middle. We've got X, Y, Z, Z, Y, X. Capital letters, no spaces. Now, for this next question, we need to be able to see angle X, Y, Z, or Z, Y, X. And it asks us, this angle is made up of which of the following? Rays. Well, we know that rays have an endpoint, but go on forever and ever in one direction. So they look like this. Lines go on forever and ever in both directions. And finally, line segments have 2 definitive endpoints. It's just part of a line. So if we look back up to this angle, we can see that it has 2 endpoints. We can see X and Y, and then Y and Z. So there's lots of points. This tells us that this angle is made up of line segments. So if we scroll back down, the correct answer should be line segments. We don't see any arrows. We have to infer that line segments, because they have 2 endpoints, each of those line segments that makes up that angle. The next question, which is, what is the measure in degrees of angle ABC? Well, angle ABC is open on the right side, which means we use the inner scale, which is these inside set of numbers. So if we follow this ray BA, up through the measurement, we can see it falls between 70 and 80. Which means I would accept really any answer that falls between 70 and 80, but let's look at the options. So it looks to be a little bit more than 70 degrees, but less than 80 degrees. And the only answer that falls in that window is 75 degrees, which actually is right between 70 and 80. So the measurement of angle ABC should be 75 degrees, okay? Remember, right? Inner scale, this was even at the top of the quiz that you could have referred to. So we use the inner set of numbers, 75 degrees. This question says angle BAE, which is actually highlighted, is made up of 3 smaller angles. We can see angle BAC, angle CAD, and angle DAE. So we want to find what the measure of angle BAE is all together in degrees. All together tells us we're going to be adding. We're going to be adding this number, and this number to get a full measure of the bigger angle, which is BAE. So in order to do that, we have to add up the 3 measures of the angles, which is 30 degrees plus 15 degrees plus 10 degrees. When we add 30, 10, and 15, we get a total amount of 55 degrees. So let's go ahead and see if that's an option. Here it is. So the measurement of angle BAE is 55 degrees. We had to add up the smaller parts to find the whole. Okay? So our next question, this angle is made up of two blank. So let's go look at the options. Okay, so we see angle ONM or MNO. As we look, we can see that there is an arrow at point M by point M and an arrow by point O, and then here is the vertex where both endpoints meet. So each has one endpoint and appears to go on forever and ever in one direction. Well, what do we know that does that? Lines, do lines have one arrow and one endpoint? Nope, they have two arrows, so it can't be lines. Line segments, well, line segments have two definitive endpoints because they're just part of a line, so like this. So definitely if there's an arrow, it's telling us that's not a line segment. And the final option is rays. What do we know about rays? Well, rays have one endpoint, and then in one side, they go on forever and ever in one direction. If we look back up at our angle, we can see that ray NM and ray NO, they're both rays because they have an endpoint at point N, and then they go on forever and ever in one direction. Very good, so it has to be rays. Kind of did a spoiler alert in the last question, but it says the names of the two line segments are rays. We determined that they were rays in the last question that make up this angle are what? So when we name a ray, this is something we learned a while ago, but I hope it stayed fresh in your mind. We have to start with the endpoint first. So for both of them, their endpoint is at point N. So we were going to have NO and NM. So let's see what has them, not necessarily in that order. But you should have selected the answer that has NM and NO, or NO and NM, doesn't matter which order. Okay, now this is where you should really be reviewing your flashcards if you had a hard time with this. Angle ABC, we're not shown a picture, but we're told that it measures 65 degrees. It is a blank angle. Straight, right, acute, or obtuse. Well, if you have your flashcards, which hopefully you do, and if you need them, I would really print them out. Straight angles measure 180 degrees exactly. Right angles are 90 degrees exactly. Acute angles, remember, acute little, less than 90 degrees, and obtuse is greater than 90 degrees. So it's at 65 degrees. That's less than 90 degrees. So it can't be a right angle, it can't be a straight angle because it's not 180 degrees. So I'm going to cross that out. Cross out, right? Acute is less than 90. We'll leave that open. And obtuse is greater than 90. Well, 65 is not greater than 90. So this has got to be an acute angle. An acute angle measures less than 90 degrees. 65 is less than 90. This must be an acute angle. This next question could be tricky. An angle measures 91 degrees. Joe says it's close enough to 90 degrees to be considered a right angle. Is the statement true or false? Well, what do we know about right angles? What we know about right angles is that they need to measure exactly 90 degrees. So 1 degree less or 1 degree more shouldn't matter. It has to be exactly 90 degrees. So this is a false statement. It doesn't matter if it's 91 degrees. It has to be 90 degrees or it is not considered a right angle. Now this one could be tricky if you just went off of the visual. This is angle TOE or TOE, and we're told it measures 176 degrees. And if you look at the picture, you can even see it looks like 176 degrees. The biggest mistake people made on this was saying that it was a straight angle. It's 4 degrees away from being a straight angle, so it basically looks straight, but it's not exactly 180 degrees. It's 176 degrees, so it's not a straight angle. It's not a right angle because it's not exactly 90 degrees. It is definitely greater than 90 degrees, so it can't be an acute. And obtuse, it's just under 180, so it's not straight, so it is an obtuse angle. Greater than 90, less than 180, it's obtuse. It's 176, which is very close to being 180, which is a straight angle, and it even kind of looks like a straight angle, but it's not. It is an obtuse angle.